In this Google Forms tutorial, I will show you how to use Google Forms. We will go through how to get Google Forms for free, how to create quizzes, surveys, and more. Then we go through the different settings and how to interact with your responses, starting with how to get Google Forms. To get Google Forms, you need a Google account. So, you just have to log into your Gmail, whether it's a personal email or one provided to you at work. Now, once you're logged into your Gmail account, open a new tab in Google Chrome browser. If you are using any other browser, you want to go to google.com. Once you land on the home page, up in the top right-hand corner, we have the waffle icon. It kind of looks like a waffle. It's also known as the app launcher. When we click on this shows you all of your different Google apps. You'll have to scroll down till you see the Google Forms icon labeled Form. You want to click on it. Then you're taken to Google Forms. Alternatively, you can just type forms.google.com, and that will also take you to the Google Form interface. And you can also type docs.google.com/form. It will also do the same thing. Lastly, you can also access Google Forms through Google Drive. So if I click on this waffle icon and then go to Google Drive, I can come right here and click on New. Then I can choose Google Forms. Then I can decide to create a blank form, a quiz, or pick from a template. If I click on this one, it will open a new blank Google form for us. Okay, I will just undo this. But you should know that whenever you create a Google form, it gets saved in your Google Drive. All right, back to the Google Form page. I can decide to pick from a template or create a blank form. And also below here, we've got all the previous forms we have created with the Google account. You can also sort the results using this. All right, we will go ahead and click on blank form. And that will take us to this new page. Let's start creating our form. Here, we can give our form a title. Note that the title here is only visible to you. This is just the title you give to the form so that you can know which form you are working on, in case you're working on many forms. Also, we've got another title here. This is the one visible to the viewers so that they can know which form they're trying to fill out. For this video, I will be creating a job application form. Feel free to follow along and create your form, or you could mimic what I'm doing to learn how to use Google Forms. Don't worry, we will touch on everything you need to know. By default, we are on the Questions tab, but we also have these other tabs, Response and Settings. The Responses tab is where you see all the responses to your questions, and the Settings tab is where you set up how both you and users interact with the form. We will touch on this later in the video. So, I'll call this form the NetEase Limited Job Application Form. Under the title, you can also type in a form description, and I'll include a brief text that provides additional context on what this survey is about. So, I'm looking for the role of a content creator and video editor. Now, I can start adding some questions. To add my first question, Google was nice enough to insert a placeholder question here. So, I'll just go ahead and leverage this for my first question. I can click on that, and it now highlights this question. Now here we've got a whole lot of question type you can use. We will go through every one of these and their use cases. Starting with the first, short answer. Basically, this allows you to get short answers to input questions like name, email, and so on. I will call this name. You can also format it however you like. Beside it, you can add an image. So, you can add an image if necessary. You can insert by URL, pick from Google Photos, Google Drive, or Google Images. I will just pick one from my computer. And that adds an image to the question. But I'm going to remove this since we don't want that. Down below, you can duplicate this question, delete it, and you can set if this is a required question. I will toggle that on. This means that if the users don't submit their name, they won't be able to submit the form, and it will show this kind of message to them. We also have this menu icon right here. When we click on that, we can add a description, for example. I can go ahead and enter as it is in your documents, just to add a little bit of context. We also have response validation, which I will talk about later. I will go ahead and duplicate this question. Maybe I also want to collect emails. Add a new question. This time I will use a paragraph. A paragraph is used when you want users to be able to write long answers. For example, maybe I want users to tell us why we should employ them. So, here we can't use short answers, but a paragraph. I will create a new form. This time I want to use multiple choice. So, with multiple choice, users can pick one from a list of items. For example, do you have a portfolio available online? So, Google Forms automatically detects that this is a yes or no question. So, I will just add this. Then I can delete anyone I don't want. I will remove maybe. I will make this required. Now, I'd like to show you something. If you take a look at the right-hand side, we have a few buttons. We already know that the first button lets you add questions. Our form, so far, is on a single page. Now, if we want it so that our form has different sections or pages, such that users can answer questions on the first page, then click on the next button to go to the next page, and answer a few more questions. Then we have to create sections. To create a section, you will have to click on this button right here. And then create another section for us. But I want to do something interesting here. Now, I want it such that when people click on yes, it takes them to a page where I can just collect the URL of their portfolio. So I just want to see what they can do, and I can also see their other information from their portfolio. Also, when people click no, I want it such that they're taken to a different page where they will have to add other information. So how we do this? So I will call the new section I just created, I have a portfolio. So when people click on yes, I want them taken to this section. Let's add a question here. You should know that you can drag questions from one section to another like this. All right, so I want everyone that have a portfolio to give me a link to their portfolio. So I will use the paragraph question. So I don't need more information from them. They can submit the form after adding a link to their portfolio. Now, let's create a new section. I want those who answered no to be taken to this section. Here I can ask a few more questions of them. So I will just call this new section additional question. So we can start adding a few more questions here. So let's go back to this question. Then click on the menu. We have this one that says go to section based on answer. I will check that. Now, when users answer yes, I want them to go to section 2. If the answer is no, I want them taken to section 3. Right on top, we have this eye icon. When we click on that, this allows us to preview our email. So you can view this as how users will see them. I can click on the next button to go to the next page. See what happens. It says this is a required question. So users have to answer all required questions before they can be moved to the next page or submit the form. I will quickly go ahead and fill out all of these forms. Now, here where it says, do you have a portfolio online? If I choose yes, and then click on next. See what happens? It takes us to the second section we created earlier. Here users can enter a link to their portfolio. Let's go back. If we choose no instead, let's see what happens. Now, it takes us to section 3 that we created before. Additional question page. We haven't created any questions on this page, so let's go back and create that. Add a new question. This time around, let's choose checkboxes. So, checkboxes allow users to pick more than one answer from a list of options. For example, I can ask, what skills do you have? And here I will type a list of options. Lastly, I will click on this, Add Others. That will let users click on Others and type any other skills they have. So that's how to use checkboxes. You can go ahead and make it required if you want. Let's add a new question. Next, we will take a look at the dropdown. So, we can also allow users to select from a dropdown. For example, gender. Google Forms should be able to suggest that for us. Okay, it's not suggesting anything, so let's type that ourselves. Option 1, male. Alright, now we have the suggestion. I will just go ahead and click on Add All. So, that adds a drop-down question. Add a new question. This time, we're looking at file upload. You should take note that the files will be saved in your Google Drive. Click on Continue. I will name this Upload Your CV. We can select this to specify the kind of documents we want. I want only doc and PDF file. And below, you can specify the number of documents that can be uploaded. I will leave it as 1. You can also set the maximum file size. I will leave it at 10 megabytes, but you can reduce it to maybe 5 megabytes. Since the files are uploaded to your drive, and you've only got 15 gigabytes free on your Gmail account, this can come in handy so that you can reduce the amount of space on your Gmail account that this form is consuming. Next, we want to add a linear scale. This is used in forms like customer feedback. For example, I can enter, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good is your service? Or our service, whichever the case may be, and people can rate it here. You can also add different labels, like categories and so on. But I won't do that here. This is how it looks. We can add ratings, which are also similar to a linear scale. We can add a multiple choice grid. For example, skills rating. For the columns, I will just enter 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Rows, I will enter communication, time management, problem solving, teamwork, and creativity. That way, people can rate their skills, and it can be used in different scenarios. We can also add a checkbox grid, which looks like a multiple choice grid. Only here can you choose more than one. The next option we have is the date. For example, collecting the date of birth. And lastly, we have time. Work duration, or when can you start? All right, I'm done with questions. Let's preview our form. We can enter name, email, and this. When we choose no, then click on Next. It takes us to this page. We've got a checkbox where we can pick more than one answer. A drop box for gender. We can add our CV, rate the service, ratings buttons, also rate skills, checkbox grid, date of birth, and lastly, time. It's showing an error message up here. This form isn't accepting responses. That is because we have not set up how users interact with the form. So let's go back. When you click on this icon, that looks like a canvas. We can edit the look of this form. We can change the header font to something like Montserrat. But I will just undo that because Roboto is a very good font. We can choose a header image. Click on Choose Image. So, we've got a lot of images you can add here. We also have this tab here where you can upload your header. We have a lot of categories here based on the kind of form you are creating. This is a job application form, so it falls under work. So, I will just search and pick an image from here. I will go ahead and pick this one. Then below here, we've got colors. So we can choose a theme color based on the color that will match the image we picked earlier. I don't like these colors. Let me pick a different image. So now we have many colors here. I will go with this one. You will also notice that as we pick a color, it automatically picks a lighter version of that color for our background. That's very cool. Okay, let's preview our form again. Now, we have this header and the colors we chose. On top, we also have the undo and redo buttons. Then we have this URL icon that you can use when on the Response tab to copy individual information. And then this icon allows you to add other collaborators to help you work on the form and have access to the responses on the form. Now, the Response tab is where you see all the responses. We will get back to this page in a moment, but let's go to Settings so that we can set up interaction with the form. First, we have Make this a quiz. You should only enable this if it is a quiz. This will help you set values, answers to question, and let users automatically see their results after submitting their answers if you want that. And the form will automatically mark student answers and grade them for you. I already created a separate tutorial for the quiz. You can click the link above to watch the video. Next, we have responses. So, first, you can choose if you want to collect email addresses. By default, it's do not collect. We can choose verified. That means it will automatically collect the email address signed into the user's browsers. So, if they're not signed into an email account on their browser, they won't be able to fill out the form. We also have responder input. So, this will automatically create a new question asking for their email. If you go back to the questions, you will see the new email question added just below the title. Don't forget we already created an email input before. We can just delete that because this is the best way of collecting emails. Now, we have send responders a copy of their response. You can turn that off or choose any of the others, like when requested or always. I will turn this off. Toggle this on to allow users to edit their responses. You can also limit to one response. This also means users will have to be signed into their Gmail to fill out the form. So, they won't be able to refill the form once they click the Submit button. We can also limit uploaded file sizes. I will leave this as 1 GB. Under Presentation, you will mostly leave it as it is, but you can also show a progress bar so that users can see their progress. This is mostly used in surveys. You can enable Shuffle Questions, which is most likely used in quizzes where you want students to think they have different questions, not knowing that the questions are just shuffled and appear differently to everybody. After submission, they will get this response, and you can edit and change it to something like this. You can show them a link to submit another form, but we cannot do that because we already set that they can only send one response per user. You can choose to view the results summary with users. You'll want to leave this as it is, but I'll just turn it on to show you what it does. You can disable autosave. This means that when they accidentally refresh the page, they will have to enter all of the data again. But I don't want that, so I will leave that as it is. Under the default section, you just have things you want to set to be the default. Again, you can see people's answers to the questions in the response section. Now, let's publish our form. I will set this as anyone with the link can respond. Then publish. You can click on Publish and then click on this icon to copy the link to this form. Now, you can share the link with anybody and they will be able to fill out the form. All right, I'm on a new PC and I will just paste the link here. So we can test our form. So I will enter my email, name, answer this question, and then select yes. Click on Next. That will take us to this page. So we can enter the link to our portfolio and submit the form. There's an error here. It is showing next. When we click on that, it takes us to this page where we can add additional information. That's not what we want. We want users to just submit the form here. So let's fix that. So we're back in our form. Let's go to Section 2. Down here, we can see that after Section 2, continue to the next section. What we want is for users to submit. So I will click on this and then click on Submit Form. Now, if we go back to our second PC and then refresh the page, let's test that now. So, after this page, users can submit the form. Let's go back. This time, choose No. It brings us to this additional question page. So, users can interact with the page. I will just go ahead and fill in all of this information so that we can get a response. Then submit the form. So, users get this response when they submit the form. And this See Previous Response is what I wanted to show you guys. When users click on this, they can see the responses this form has gotten. But you don't want to show this kind of information to users, so I will go back to the settings. And then disable it, and click on Publish. You can see we got a response here. So, here you can view all the responses you've got. You can see the response to questions. And also view the response from a person. This way, you can view the answers of each person individually. You can also export all the responses into a Google Sheet so that you can better interact with all of the data. So, I believe you guys learned a lot about Google Forms from this video. I hope you find the video helpful. Click the like button and also subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.